Hello, it's Simon here, and in this video, I want to share with you how you can find purchase options. Now, why would you want to find purchase options? Purchase options is a way of you getting cash flow and equity growth from property you don't even own. This is a perfect strategy whether you're completely new to property investing or whether you're already an experienced investor. So how do I know this? Well, my name's Simon Zutshi. I've been investing in property since 1995. That's over 25 years. I built up a substantial property portfolio. I was able to leave my full-time corporate job at Cadbury's thanks to the passive income from my property. I set up something called the Property Investors Network back in 2003, which is now the largest network of property meetings all around the country. I've written a best-selling book called Property Magic, sold over 100,000 copies over the last 12 years. And I've trained thousands of investors like you how to become successful investors. And one of my favorite strategies is this purchase option strategy. Why? You know, if I lost everything and I had to go back to the very beginning, knowing what I know now, this is absolutely the strategy I would use if I was starting completely new. But you know what? As a successful, experienced investor, I'm actually doing this strategy right now. So I love this because it works for everybody, no matter where you are in your property journey. So, we need to know how to find these purchase options. Now, a purchase option is where you've got the right to buy something in the future. You're not going to buy it now, you're going to buy it in the future. Why might you want to do that? Well, let's say you find a property that maybe you want to get planning permission to change that property. Let's say you're looking for a house that could be converted into an HMO, a house of multiple occupation. That's where you take the house and rent out individual rooms to students or young professionals. And you do that because the collective rent you get is far more than you get by just renting out the house to maybe a family or to a couple. So HMOs are a great strategy. But in certain areas, they have what's called Article 4. This means if you want to turn a normal house into an HMO, you need to get planning permission. So there's a risk if you buy a house and want to turn it into an HMO, well, if you need to get planning, you might not get planning. So that's a very risky thing to do. So instead of buying that house, you could agree with the owner, you want to buy the house, but you need to get planning permission first. So you secure the purchase on a purchase option, you then go and get the planning permission, and once that comes through, you buy the property. If you don't get the planning permission, you don't have to buy, and you've not caused yourself a real problem. So that's a great way of using a purchase option. The other way is, we can actually use a purchase option to buy a property at a cash price, even though we're going to get a mortgage on it. So what do I mean by this? Well, very often you might see an estate agent advertise a property for sale as a cash-only purchase. Why do they do that? Well, it means that that property is very difficult to get a mortgage on, or maybe impossible to get a mortgage. And it could be for a number of reasons. So the first reason is maybe the property is just not mortgageable. If the property doesn't have a kitchen or it doesn't have a bathroom, it means it's not really habitable, and so you can't get a mortgage on it. Or maybe a property has a structural issue. Maybe it's got subsidence where it's actually sinking into the ground. Now that's a serious problem. Most mortgage companies will not lend on that. Or maybe you've got a property where there's a very short lease. It's a leasehold property. There might be 70 years or less on the lease. And again, mortgage companies will not give you a mortgage to buy that property. Now, in these three circumstances, because you can't get a mortgage, the seller has to find a cash buyer. Now, obviously, there are less cash buyers in the market than there are people who are going to get mortgages. So because there are less buyers, the property sells for a lower price, normally much, much lower. But here's the trick. You see, if you secure a purchase option on that price, you can agree to buy it based on a cash price because it can't get a mortgage. But if you have a long enough period, 6 or 12 months, you can actually fix the problem on the property. So let's say it's not habitable because it doesn't have a kitchen or bathroom. You can get a kitchen or bathroom put in, which means suddenly it's habitable, which means you can get a mortgage, which increases the value. Even if there's subsidence, there's a problem, the house is sinking into the ground, that can be fixed. You need to get builders who know how to do it. You get a certificate to say it's been done properly, then you can get a mortgage on the house. Again, the value of the property will come up. Or even if you've got a short lease, the current owner can get the freeholder to extend the lease, and they need to pay to do that. You might put the money in through the solicitor, get the lease extended. Once it's been extended to maybe 125 or 150 years, the property is mortgageable again, but you get to buy it at the cash price. So therefore, you can buy at a cash price, even though you're buying with a mortgage, by getting a purchase option. So hopefully you can see that a purchase option is a very powerful tool you can use to control property. So how do you find these properties? Well, one thing you could do is go and look at your local estate agent and look online to see if they've got any properties that say cash only. In fact, you could do a Google search for cash only purchase or cash only sale and see what properties come up. Or speak direct to your local estate agent and say, look, have you got any properties that are listed as cash only? And then ask them why they're cash only. And if it meets one of those three circumstances, you might be able to do a purchase option on that property. Because that seller is not going to have people queuing up ready to buy that property. They've got a problem and they want to get rid of it. And you can come and help them fix that problem. So, have you got any properties that are cash only? That's a great question to ask. The other question you can ask an estate agent to find a purchase lease option. Now, a purchase lease option is very similar to a purchase option. You've got the right to buy it at some time in the future at a price you set now, but you also pay a monthly option fee, a lease fee to the owner, which means you then get to use that property. You can either live there yourself or you can rent it out to other people. The idea being what you pay the landlord is less than you can rent it out for, so you can make a profit on the property. A profit on a property you don't even own. And if you've got a long enough option period, you've got the right to buy it at today's market price. That might be a discounted price in the future. So not only can you get cash flow from a property you don't own with a purchase lease option, you can also get potential equity growth as well. So this is very, very powerful tool that you can use for your property investing. Now that property could be a single let, it could be an HMO, it could be serviced accommodation, it could be a commercial to residential conversion. Purchase lease options can be used in conjunction with any other property investing strategy. Now, how do you find them? Again, you go to your local estate agent and say, have you got any properties that are listed for sale? So the seller wants to get rid of this property, but also they're listed for rent. And what that means is the owner saying, well, I want to sell, but if I can't sell, in the meantime, I'm prepared to rent the property out. That's exactly what we're doing with a purchase lease option. We're going to buy it in the future. In the meantime, we're renting the property. So it's really important you understand this. By the way, when we speak to an agent, we never use the term purchase option or purchase lease option because they just generally do not understand what that means. We use very simple language that explains how we're solving the problem. Yeah, I like to buy the property. If it's an option, I want to buy the property, but I need to fix it first. So I want to agree a price, secure that price, and then do a little bit of work to the property, then I'll buy it. With a purchase lease option, I want to rent the property and then buy it in the future. We keep the language very, very simple. Now, you might think, well, hang on, will an agent agree to this? If a purchase option is 3 or 4 years, surely an agent's not going to agree to that because they're not going to get paid their commission. Well, actually, I'm doing some live training all about how you can not only find these purchase options and purchase lease options, but what do you say to the estate agent so they not only understand it, but they want to recommend it to the seller so they give you the deal. So if you want to come and register for that completely live, online, no cost training, click on the link below this video and come and register and join me on this live training and I'll teach you exactly how you can do that. Fundamentally, what you do is you agree that the agent is going to get paid their commission once the deal is done. And once the contracts are signed, we always use solicitors to do the paperwork. So in other words, the agent's going to get their money much sooner than they would normally get it. I'm going to teach you exactly what to say in this live training. So come and register for that because I want to share that strategy. I've not got time to do it in this video. But moving on. So how to find these purchase options and purchase options. First of all, we can start with estate agents. The other way of finding them is contacting landlords. Landlords have got properties they're renting out. Those landlords might want to at some point retire in the future. So we can take on the property on a purchase lease option, we can do the management, we can take away all the hassle from that owner, and we can agree to buy it in a few years' time. Why would that be of interest to them? Well, generally landlords have a number of properties in their portfolio. If they want to sell those, if they sell them all in 1 year, they're going to pay a lot of capital gains tax. However, if we can help them phase those sales over a number of years, they can actually reduce the amount of tax they pay. It's all about finding people who've got a problem and coming up with an ethical win-win solution that's going to work for them. So contacting landlords direct through landlord letters is another great way of finding purchase options and purchase lease options. I do hope this video has been useful for you. If you like it, please click on the like button, subscribe to make sure you get lots of these videos coming through, lots of free content we provide for you. Please put questions and comments below and we'll answer as many of them as we possibly can. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out this next video that I've lined up for you. And also click on the link below to come and join me for some live online training all about how you can use purchase lease options and purchase options in your property investing. Because it's live training, you can actually ask me any questions you've got about these incredibly powerful investing tools. So click on the link, book the training right now.